Welcome back to CKLA Chats. I am DLC Foster-Yankey, and this video is about the final lesson in Unit 6, the Reformation, Lesson 9, Changes in the Church and Beyond. Right, so the core text for this lesson is The Catholic Church Responds, and students are reading this text closely to learn how the Catholic Church responded to the Protestant Reformation. The first component of Lesson 9 is reading, and the cub is students will know the definitions of key vocabulary in the chapter. They will understand the cause, actions, and outcomes of the Catholic Reformation/Counter-Reformation, and they will be able to take notes summarizing texts about the Catholic Reformation and the actions of the Catholic Church in response to the Protestant Reformation using vocabulary words and citing page numbers. So reading is divided into 3 subcomponents for a total of 45 minutes. The first is a small group reading of Chapter 6, either in small groups or with a partner for 30 minutes. They'll wrap up in small groups for 10 minutes and then work on word work for the word revitalize with a partner for 5 minutes. So for the small group reading of Chapter 6, the teacher begins by telling students they will read Chapter 6, The Catholic Church Responds. Students will use the table of contents to locate the chapter, and the teacher will preview the vocabulary. A student reads the big question, how did the Catholic Church respond to the Protestant Reformation? And the teacher makes sure that students understand what the question is asking. Students will be working in small groups to take open-ended notes on activity page 9.2. Before establishing groups, the teacher reviews the activity page with the whole class by reading the directions aloud and explaining to students that they will be taking notes on the cause, actions, and outcomes of the Catholic Reformation. The teacher should encourage students to use the vocabulary words listed at the side of each box in that box's notes, and to record the pages containing the text supporting their notes. From there, the teacher will proceed to divide students into 2 groups, a teacher group and another group working independently or in pairs. The activity page can be used as a formative assessment if students complete it independently. So you should see students in the teacher's group reading the chapter silently and the teacher pausing them every page or so to ask guiding questions. So once they are done reading, they will return for a 10-minute wrap-up. There's a check for understanding where the teacher creates a 3-column chart with the following headings: cause, actions, and outcomes, then recites key facts from the chapter and has students raise their hands to identify the column in which each belongs. Students then work in small groups to review their notes on activity page 9.2 and adjust any necessary information regarding the cause, actions, and outcomes of the Catholic Reformation/Counter-Reformation. On the back of activity page 9.2, students write a paragraph summarizing the Catholic Reformation/Counter-Reformation. The teacher should encourage them to use their notes from activity page 9.2 to help them write, explaining that they will take these short phrases, lists, and/or bullet points and turn them into complete sentences. The teacher also reminds students to include the cause, actions, and outcomes of the Catholic Reformation/Counter-Reformation. Students who finish their paragraph can go on to answer the challenge question. And some students share their paragraphs with the class before wrapping up, and the teacher will collect activity page 9.2 to review and grade later. In addition, there is some homework, activity page 9.3, which students will take home to read to a family member. It is a reread, so the teacher explains that they should read through it at least once from beginning to end without stopping. Then they move on to 5 minutes of word work for the word revitalize. The teacher uses the word in context in a sentence from the reader, has students repeat the word, gives them the definition and a sample sentence, then asks for examples of people or things that can be revitalized. 2 to 3 students respond using the word revitalize in their answer. The teacher asks for part of speech, then follows up with a discussion activity, which is to talk to your partner about something in our school or in your neighborhood that you would like to revitalize and how you would give new life to it. The teacher gives the example. I would like to revitalize the plain wall just outside our door by putting new student artwork on display. So when students discuss with their partner, they need to be sure to use the word revitalize in complete sentences. Okay, the next component of lesson 9 is language, divided into 3 subcomponents: grammar, correlative conjunctions with a partner for 15 minutes, a whole group morphology lesson for 15 minutes, and spelling, partner or whole group for another 15 minutes. So for grammar, correlative conjunctions, the teacher reminds students that they've learned about sets of words that go together called correlative conjunctions. They'll write correlative on the board, circle co, and tell students that co means together. Then share examples of co words and explain that correlative conjunctions are words that work together in pairs to relate one part of a sentence to another part of that sentence. They'll refer to the anchor chart and explain that the examples listed are just 4 examples of correlative conjunctions that are commonly used. There are others, but they won't be discussed. Different students are selected to read the example sentences on the poster. After each sentence, the teacher discusses the corresponding facts. Students then turn to activity page 9.4, and the teacher tells them that they will interview a partner using questions 1 through 3 on the activity page. And they will be asking, what are 2 activities you enjoy doing? What are 2 things you do not like? And who are 2 of your good friends? Then for homework, they will use the information from the interview to answer questions 4 and 5. Question 5 asks students to write a paragraph about their partner. Students will use all 4 correlative conjunctions in their paragraph. As a check for understanding, the teacher can tell students that they may ask their partner more questions if they like to help in their descriptions. They'll ask students for some other examples of questions that could be answered using the 4 correlative conjunctions and record examples shared on the board or chart paper. Students will raise their hands to identify whether they use alternative or addition functions. The teacher will point out the negative alternatives as applicable and then ensure that students are able to complete the interview questions during the lesson time and have them take it home to finish writing their paragraph for homework. There are sentence stems available in the Universal Access section to guide students in using correlative conjunctions to describe the partners they have interviewed. Then they will move on to the morphology lesson for the suffix ist. The teacher will refer to the suffixes poster and remind students what a suffix is. They'll point to the suffix ist and ask students what it means. There's a check for understanding where they review the terms root word, suffix, prefix, and affix. They'll point to some examples and have students raise their hands to identify each. Then clarify that affix can refer to either a prefix or a suffix, so an affixed word can contain either or both, and then provide examples as needed. Students will then turn to activity page 9.5. The teacher will read the directions for each section with the students. In the first section, they will write the correct word to complete each sentence, and then write a sentence using the following word: novelist. Using your knowledge of the suffix ist, determine the meaning of the following word with the suffix ist. They have root word meteorology, meaning a science dealing with the study of Earth's atmosphere and weather. And the affixed word is meteorologist. And then the class will complete the first item together. Students complete the rest of the activity page independently, and there are some great supports in the universal access section and grade margins. While students work, the teacher should be circulating around the room, checking in as they complete the rest of the activity page. Then they move on to spelling. The teacher tells students they will practice writing the spelling words and remind them to use the individual code chart in the back of their activity book as they practice. Students turn to activity page 9.6, and the teacher explains that the spelling words are listed in the word bank on the activity page and on an anchor chart from lesson 6. Students work with a partner to read the first sentence silently and fill in the blank. After they complete the first sentence, the teacher calls on one partner to read the sentence aloud with the spelling word in the blank. They'll ask if anyone had a different answer and discuss the correct answer to ensure students understand why it's correct. As a check for understanding, they'll remind students that the prefix M makes the word mobile have the opposite meaning. They'll say some spelling words, some with a prefix and some without, and have students raise their hands if the meaning of the word is changed to its opposite by a prefix. Students check their spelling with the spelling in the word bank at the top of the activity page, making corrections if needed, and then turn their pages over. Next, the teacher has students say the word, spell it, and say it again without looking at their papers. They turn the page over and repeat the steps for the remaining items. As time allows, they'll complete the say, spell, say again step for the unused words. Students work independently to write their own sentences. And again, there are sentence stems for the 3 unused word bank words in the universal access section. Students are reminded to study the spelling words for the assessment in the next lesson, which is the unit assessment. The teacher collects activity page 9.6 to review and grade later. And that concludes lesson 9 and also the Reformation unit. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in unit 7, A Midsummer Night's Dream.